Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Y'all are brewheads? Yeah, we brewheads. So pour a glass of craft beer, we can do this. Yeah.
What's good, y'all? This is Cee, Certified Brewhead.
And I'm Tiffany, Liquid Enthusiast.
And welcome to episode 31 of Beer and Other Shit, the podcast link-up series.
Exciting.
Isn't it always?
Yeah.
So we've had a great series so far. Now we're coming up to week 4 of the drops, of the link-up drops for Series 6. It's been a great one. We have a little bit more balance this time. So the first couple pods that you heard there were from Ontario. Now we're heading back over to Quebec, which is always a treat. This is a brewery we actually haven't had on the pod yet, but we're excited to get them on. But we also were out there. We were just chatting about that back in 2020. Mm-hmm. We were out there, and it was really cool to see the place. I've been drinking their beer for a while, so it was cool to see it, and it was very cool to have these guys involved this series on the in the link-up series, and dropping an interesting beer as well.
Yeah. One I've never had before, I don't think.
I don't know if you...
Not with this word in the middle, which we'll talk about.
Which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
Yes, that is a very specific word that I think they might be the one of two breweries I can think of that use it, and that will definitely
cool.
get into that.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
So, yeah, man, I'm excited to get into it. So, guys, please welcome Brian from Noctem Artisans Brasseurs in the building. Look at that. Brought the crowd for you, buddy. How you doing, man?
All right.
Thank you for hanging out.
Be here.
Yeah, man. Thank you for hanging out. Very excited. Obviously, been a big fan of the brewery for many, many years. We were just talking off air that we got to hang out. We trying to realize it was literally like 3 years ago, which kind of feels like significantly longer than that.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah.
It was the before times, the other era.
It was
in the middle of it or something. It was like when stuff dipped down and you could travel, and then they were like, "Oh no, go back home afterwards," in another month or something. Yeah.
So at least we got to get out there, meet in person, hang out, see the brewery. So super excited to crack this one. Like I was saying, we always wait where possible to drink the beer, and you guys delivered a fantastic, unique beer, a Nano Hydra IPA.
Yes, exactly. It's the Hydra IPA. We tried to kind of coin the term back in 2020. Basically, we did the catnip Hydra.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm just gonna pop this one open.
Yeah, pop that.
So if we're gonna start about the Hydra IPA, so why we call it Hydra IPA?
Yes,
so,
please.
There's this one of we work a lot with Escarpment Laboratories in Ontario, and they created this new strain of yeast called Hydra yeast, and it's basically a blend of 2 yeasts. And we tried it. They kind of sent us a pouch and said, "Hey, try this on our pilot system," and we tried it, and we got a lot of flavors of like pineapple, mangoes that were just like there. And basically what we did, we took just like 100 liters of catnip and we threw it in the pilot fermenter, and we put the Hydra yeast in there. So the result we got, and we just like brought these cans around, and we decided to make people make their own mind of, is this a yeast that we're gonna try and use in the future? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people said, yeah, try that. So we've been using it for a couple of years now, so 2 or 3 years. We did the Session IPA Hydra Crush. We did the Catnip Hydra. And now we did the Link Up. It's yeast that really works. We find it works best at low ABVs. Like a double Hydra IPA doesn't work so well. So we tried to tone it down to a Nano IPA. And what's fun is that this yeast doesn't attenuate a lot. So basically it leaves a lot of sugar behind. And we found that this is the key point of a lot of Nano IPAs. So you want to have residual sugars to kind of carry the hops, carry the flavor, because you don't have any alcohol to carry all these flavors. So that's what we did. That's the main reason we chose the Hydra yeast for this. So it was something that we had planned. And when you guys contacted us, we like, this is perfect for beer, because in terms of summertime, like right now I'm sweating myself. This is the perfect beer for this kind of temperature. And we did find that when we gave Hydra IPAs to people that didn't like IPAs, the strong pineapple flavor really brought out like something that people don't necessarily like in IPAs. It kind of covers a lot of the bitterness. It kind of hides a lot of things that some people in the IPAs don't like, a lot of the dank flavors and stuff like that. So by using that yeast, we kind of, in the idea of Link Up, we said, okay, we're kind of making an IPA that is low ABV, that has a lot of flavors. So in terms of accessibility, it's like, I think, a very good product to put forward in that kind of initiative.
Nice.
That makes a lot of sense, man. So first things first, cheers. I'm excited to try it. Cheers.
Cheers.
The nose is huge. So much pineapple.
Yeah.
I'm saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
So
nice.
It is pretty thin because it is a nano IPA, but the idea is like it's 2.5%. You can drink a ton.
Yeah.
And I go to bed and wake up the next morning without having a huge headache. It is a beer that is perfect for summertime. So it is not something you'll see out of our brewery in December, but it is something that you see coming out next summer for sure.
Okay.
It's awesome. Tastes great.
Yeah, this is really nice.
Yeah.
It's super aromatic and bright. What are the hops in this one too, man? Do you know?
It is Strata and Citra.
Citra. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Definitely that pineapple is like really shiny.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like a touch of like kind of passion fruit in there. Is that, and a lot of these tropical flavors, are they coming from the yeast primarily?
A lot from the hops, but the yeast kind of baggages it together. So I find a lot of like our IPAs, we use like London yeast for IPAs, and there's like this ripe peach that comes a lot with Funky London and other strains we use. For the nano, it kind of goes way like more for the pineapple and mangoes than like ripe peach and like tangerines. So in terms of profiles, it kind of helps us to work with different yeasts because like I feel like you said passion fruit, I find a little bit of lychee in it. And I find that in the Foggy London, we in our normal IPA yeast like Vermont Ale and Verdant, we don't get the lychee from the Citra that we can easily get from the Hydra IPA.
Gotcha. And the Hydra yeast specifically. Yeah. So like what? So really, it's a Hydra IPA because the yeast is called Hydra. There's not like like it's not like brewed IPA or anything like that where there's like
no.
Okay.
We only coined the term to kind of put forward like the work that Escarpment put in creating new yeast and kind of like you said, there are not many breweries that use the term Hydra IPA. Like I've seen it pop around a little bit, but it was really, I was on vacation. I was thinking about it. I was like, hey, I'm kind of, we see the NE IPA a lot. We see West Coast, and the idea of creating new IPAs. I've seen like cold IPA hanging around, IPLs, and I'm like, is it the same thing? Oh no, it's not. So I was kind of trying to coin new terms to get people to kind of get the idea that you can like IPAs are not just like it's not a bag that you put everything in it. You can kind of pick thing and say, okay, this is an oat cream IPA, or this is a milkshake, and what defines these borders? Like it's not very defined. There's not the BGCP police. They're going to come and arrest us if we do it wrong. We misuse a term, but the idea is really get some things around and get in people's mind that IPAs are just not. It's just like not something that's what an IPA is. And like people say, I don't like IPAs, and I can probably like make you travel through IPAs, and you'll find some that you hate and find some that you like.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I like that, man. This is like a real fun approach to it. It is almost interesting that no one else has really picked up on this. I know that L'Espace did, L'Espace Public in Montreal, and that was a collab with you, if I'm not mistaken. Yes,
exactly, yeah.
Okay, that was the only other one I'd seen, yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw maybe one from, I'm not even sure, maybe Brewski, but I'm not sure. Or maybe it was just like a beer on their tap. And they had I saw Hydra IPA somewhere like written on their board. Gotcha. But yeah, not like, and I don't feel like when we came with the idea, like I pushed it with Gab from Boreal. We did our collab La Rencontre, and it was the idea of like, we're gonna work with Boreal and we're gonna try to coin the term a bit more, like having a huge brewery help us like kind of put the term Hydra IPA on the market. And like in the end, I don't feel people kind of hopped on that much, but it's like, it's okay. I mean, it's the idea is we're gonna keep using it. If people want to use it, go ahead. Most recently, we brewed a beer and we tried the style. We named it Neo Kolsch. And basically, Neo Kolsch, the only brewery that is doing it right now is, and I'm pretty sure they coined the term, is Nano Cinco, that is downtown Limoilou in Quebec City. And it's these idea that we're going to take beer style, we're going to kind of reinvent them, we're going to kind of take what we like and adding a little bit of us in it, and that's how we're going to do it. And like I said, like there's no one going to say you're not allowed to use that term. So we're doing pretty much what we want.
That's
love
so
that. Yeah,
that's how you get around it. I love that.
Oh yeah, exactly.
It's super cool. It's just such a bright. It's a perfect beer for summer, is what I was thinking as you were kind of talking through. I'm like, you are right. It's perfect for it. We're recording this in early September, and it's been like a run of, I don't know what it's been like out there, but out here it's been like 30, 31, 32. Oh, yeah. Feels like 40 every day. Same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I love it. But this is the perfect beer that you want to drink when you're sweating your head off.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Which is money. So this is really interesting, man. I think it's like a cool, fun addition. And I also like, I've said this on the pod a lot. I remember Quebec was ahead of the game with the nano IPAs, like the low ABV. I remember doing a podcast at, there's a beer store in Hochelaga. Damn it, I can't believe Bierolog or something, I think. And they busted out all like 4 beers and they were all under 5%.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And I remember being like, why? Like, what's going on? This is weird. And then now I'm seeing Ontario and other places catch up because you guys were fully ahead of the game with this. So to me, it also felt very right coming from a Quebec brewery that you were doing this, because I feel like there's a big appetite for these really low ABV beers in Quebec. Have you seen that?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like maybe this culture of a bit like French culture of vin de table, like table wine, of having something that you can drink during the whole day. That's not like you don't have the culpability of like, oh, I've drank 3 beers. Like you can go on and drink couples. When I first came around like session IPAs, like it was my friend that told me like session IPA. You know what it said? I was like, session. What do you mean by it? He was like, well, sessionable. You can drink them on long sessions. So I feel like that the Nano IPA kind of brings this again to the next level. You can drinking after works. You've picked up the kids. Like you get to drink something that you won't feel like regret of like drinking 2 cans of it. And it's the idea like a lot about the idea of today we get a lot of sobriety of like. We got Sober October. We got like in Quebec, we got February, Jean Lapointe, and a lot of friends. It's now a lot of part of what people talk about sobriety. So in my opinion, it was like a perfect match of saying like, we get to continue drinking beer, but we get to find like alternatives that get us to enjoy it without like the headaches, the drunk, you can drive your car and stuff like that. It's pretty great.
Yeah. You can have breakfast, lunch.
Beer. I don't like alcohol.
Yeah. Oh, that's fair. Yeah, and that's fair too. And good for lunch, I would say.
You're right with the brunch beers.
Good for brunch. Yeah, good for brunch beers. You know,
it's light and got that sort of mimosa-ish flavors.
Vibe going.
There's no citrus really in it, but it's fruity and bright.
Yeah, I think it's that pineapple that comes off of the.
I could totally see this with some eggs or something.
With eggs, great. And then, but I think that's also cool what you're saying, because there's also something where it's lighter, so it's also like inoffensive. So say you aren't somebody who loves beer, really, I feel like it's a nice, light, cool drink to have, where it's not like punch you in the face. You see IPA and you're used to getting punched in the face. Yeah. So while we're introducing people even to beer and things like that, it's cool that this is what the link up beer is too. So I dig it. I love it. I think this is great. I love it. And I haven't been drinking that as much beer lately, so I like these light. I'm in a light vibe with all of these lately, so it's perfect.
Which is
probably less
cool.
calorically dense as well. Less
I would imagine so.
Probably.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Just less grain.
See?
Yeah, it's genuinely delicious, and on top of that, the always would love to talk about the can art. I think it's always really fun because we don't see the can art until it's released, which is sometimes breweries send it to us for link up, but sometimes they don't, and you don't have to. And I think it's even more fun when you don't, because then we get to see it live on Instagram when we get the tag. So, tell us about this one. Obviously, if anyone knows anything about Noctem, your whole vibe is cats, which is sick. There's always a cute cat.
Exactly.
We have our
again,
guests. Yeah, tell us about this one. Tell us about the.
So you'll see it's a bit different than our normal cans. Normally we have one cat. On this one, we decided to go with a multitude of cats. So the idea was like, I said to our graphic designer, and she came aboard like in the early summer, and like we just love her, and I was like, we got to do this beer and this link up, and I told her and I showed her the site, and it's like, you get to have something. So first thing she said, you got to have a lot of cats, and you got to get different cats for sure. So that's the first thing she did. And the other thing in the background, normally we do like these funky 3D backgrounds. And this one, she kind of approached it with, I'm not sure, and I think it's cross stitch, couple point. So it's the idea of like stitching things together. Like you get old fabrics and you put them together and can do like something that is not necessarily, the design kind of evolves around what you got on hand. Like you kind of stitch the product for what you have lying around. So the idea was doing kind of a huge cross stitch in the back of something that kind of really, I think like it's the idea of like, again, community, again, like getting like the idea of like you get a lot of stuff and you stitch it together, and the different cats, that's the idea behind it. We said there's not a cat that can like kind of crystallize the whole idea, so we put like 6 on there.
I love that. I love it so much.
So
And
cool.
all different types. Like, it's cool when you see it. You're like, all right, they're all linking up on the can.
Exactly.
And even what you're saying about the cross stitching in the back, it's
That's
cool because
really
it's like
thoughtful.
taking the pieces of it, like everybody, like taking everything and then bringing it together.
Exactly.
It's very cool.
Which is what beer should be.
Yeah,
Like,
well, it should be
everybody.
everybody. It should be a mix of everything and everyone. So
I love that,
that's awesome.
man. I honestly, like, I feel like we say this almost every time, but this is easily my favorite part. Obviously, the beers are phenomenal, but like the favorite part is hearing that description, because every single brewery's always been thoughtful about it, and they've always had some sort of a reason. I love that when it goes deeper like that, and I wouldn't have picked that with the cross in the background. So
that's why you need to hire a graphic designer. You get a good one. She's great.
That's awesome.
It's so key, man. Thank you, and thank you to the team as well for being so thoughtful about this. As far as from the beer itself to the can to the whole thing, dude. Like, this is very impressive. We appreciate that a lot. It's very dope. You guys killed it.
Yeah.
I love what she did.
It's really, really dope. What's the response been at the brewery? Like, do people sort of ask questions about what it's about and everything?
I think like when people see Link Up, they don't like figure out exactly what it is. A lot of people, I feel like I feel sometimes we've been abuse of our clients' willingness of looking at the labels and finding everything. I feel like there's so many labels now. They're just like, okay, what is it? Give it to me.
Yeah, they're like, sure.
Like, what kind of?
When we talk about the initiative, people are like real interested, and when they saw the different like cats and stuff, they push. Like, that's the thing. Like, we need to get out of like when we do collabs and stuff like that. We make sure that to not just put one cat, one background. We try to do something a bit different so people can know that there's something going on like this. Okay, why is this beer there? What's different about this one? Because people know our branding pretty much. They know the cats more than they know like our logos and our names and stuff like that. So they know like the cats on a can, that's us. So when they see it, it's like, oh, what's the Link Up? And then we explained it to them. And I feel like a lot of people didn't know the initiative existed. I feel like it's something that kind of, like I think Beige did it last year. That's when I got wind of it last year. And I feel like it's not out there in Quebec, but when people like hear about it, they're like pretty interested, and they feel like this is an issue that exists. And when we see our startup businesses going on around us, we know that there's something like in the beer industry that needs to evolve more about like people that are passionate about their work and that their work is compensated about what they're doing. Our industry evolves very fast, and if we're not careful about it, pretty soon the people coming on podcasts won't be the brewers. They'll be like just owners that just got their new venture of money and they just wanted to make a buck. So I feel like getting people to know about the industry of what brewing beer is, it's the main, like, that's what I see as the most important. It's like keeping the craft in the business and not making people making craft being just like simple employees that are kind of easily discarded and that are not like looked up upon, like when they're working for a company or owning it, whatever.
Mm-hmm. That's dope. I see what you mean, and that's good to hear about. I mean, Quebec City, obviously we're working on it, trying to have more of a footprint out there. Obviously most of the you know, we lived in Montreal for a decade, so most of our contacts were in Montreal, and we're trying to sort of move more into Quebec City, obviously the next big city that would have a more diverse population that would be interested in getting into beer, which makes the most sense for us. So that's good to hear that the response has been good, that when people are learning about it, they're like, oh, they need to know more. So we've got work to do, but you know, we continue to try to make those steps.
Yeah.
So then, I mean, you kind of answered it, but like, obviously we always start with this question, like, you know, what about link up and like diversifying the craft beer industry appealed to you personally, or to Noctem in general?
Well, I feel like that when we look at the industry, a lot of change has happened like in the past years, and I always like to bring out the kind of the metaphor of the blacksmith or the baker in the village, that beer is a craft. It's not art. It's a craft. It's something that is done every day that kind of doesn't feed the people. It creates beer for people. So in this idea, if it's part of the community as a whole, like as a place you go to drink and you go to savor the work of someone else, I feel that if the communities become more diverse, there's no reason that all the power, all the the ownership of breweries are kept in the same hands. So in the same idea, like I feel like youth, I feel like people come from different places, and people that come from different backgrounds should be allowed to kind of access to it. Like, I mean, a little bit like in a village, you need like people that do all kinds of works. So in this idea, like making sure that the money is not all kept up in bigger breweries. And so the small business idea, I think it's the most important in there. Like getting people to learn the craft and be able to own it in the end. And I mean, really own it, like owning their businesses and making a living out of it and making a career out of it. That's the most important thing to keep the craft beer industry alive. Because that's how you'll get new product. That's how you get new stuff. That's how you get breweries that will stay in the village or in the city for like decades. And if you just have like people coming in, opening a brewery and slapping a brand on it and getting their beer done elsewhere, that's not going to like survive decades. And it's not going to like create this community idea in the city or in a small town. So in my idea, it's like getting people that are passionate about beer and being able to train them and show them all the works in the system so they can integrate it and kind of own it in the end. That's like what kind of really called out to me. It's really this idea of, I would say, grabbing the means of production and, and getting things done. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, that's great. And sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
Yeah, I was thinking like a big part of, we did the scholarship and we just it's still going on. So if anyone's out there listening and they're interested in the scholarship, it's with Niagara College, and it'll help you get into the brewing and operations program. But that's the goal, right? For us too, is like ownership is a big part. So getting these diverse individuals exposed to it and on the ground and in the brewery and learning. So it's like whether that leads to ownership, management, something in there that, you know, really helps you grow the industry. That's been a big part, and ownership has always been a big part for us too. So it's cool to also hear you mention that, because it's really aligned with what our thought is. Like, let's get you in, and you don't know how far that could even go. Even brewery
Exactly.
helps tourism too, even when you think about that. So it's like you could end up, if we're placing you in and you decide that you want to move to Quebec City from Montreal, for example, and then you end up building a brewery of your own there, that just further helps the communities, further helps craft beer. So yeah, that's always a big part of what we of our goal as well. Yeah.
When I get into a restaurant and I know like one of the co-owners is the chef, like I know I'm in for like a treat. I know I'm gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
Because the craft is ingrained in the business, like to the root. It's not someone that is just there that might not be there tomorrow. It's someone that is there like for life, that like they're like, okay, this is what I'm doing. So and getting there, like being a chef, being a brewer, it takes like a lot of knowledge, and there are a lot of people like sharing this knowledge right now, and like we want to make sure also that like this knowledge is shared to everyone and not just like to the highest bidder. So like that you're not going to get like a lot of money, hire a couple consultant, hire this brewer off the shelf, getting in the brewery, and there's like, okay, slap me a couple recipes and I'm going to be like a brewery now. So it's the idea of like really that people that actually do the work are like compensated and are like able to like develop their full potential.
Yeah, that's dope, man. So then obviously it sounds like you're pretty invested in a lot of this type of stuff. I mean, how tell us about any other community type of things that you guys, obviously, link ups about diversity, about different cultures, being exposed to beer so that we can bring more people in and get more ideas, and like kind of like cross stitch the community and bring everybody in and sharing all these ideas, and then getting ownership to keep these small businesses, like all you're saying, growing their community, which I think is a really good point because I hadn't really thought of that before. What other type of stuff have you guys done where, you guys have been around for a while now? Like, I imagine you're pretty involved in the community out there.
Yeah. At the pub, like a lot of our community work is done at the pub because we find that it's a perfect hub to kind of invest in the people around us. So we do a lot of stuff with people from, we work a lot with the theater companies, and so we do a lot of beer with companies that are kind of putting forward new ideas. So we did beer with a collective that did Les Fabuleuses, which is a story of people that are like before the Pride March, and it's the theater, it's a show. And so we do beers also with other artists like from the LGBTQ community. So we did the beer called La Fin n'arrive jamais with Narcisse, which is he's an artist in Quebec City that is doing a lot of great music. So cool. We work also with other OBNL with like Divergent that also deals with gender identity. So it's a lot of work in the past year has been around a lot of the LGBTQ community in Quebec. And we've also tried to work with a lot of organisms that work in downtown, because downtown Quebec has been evolving very fast for the past 3 years. And we do see that we are in need of like supporting people around us, especially since we are in a neighborhood that has seen like a rise in poverty a lot. So what we try to do is we work like with other organisms. They do a better work than we do for sure. So we just try to give them money in the end. But we've worked a lot with Engrenage and Maison Gilles Keg. So we try to work with organisms that kind of really support in the idea of like, we work, I would say, in a 10-kilometer radius of where the pub is. We haven't done huge initiative like Link Up where we kind of go like nationwide and stuff like that. We don't do a lot of like going with huge organisms that like are nationwide, that are province wide. We always try to work very close to close-knit, not businesses, but organizations that work near us. That's how we feel that like our work and our power kind of in the lever we can add in giving money and helping out, that it can actually be worth it and we can see a change instead of like giving money to like a huge organization that we don't really know
what they're gonna do.
What's happening? Yeah, what they're gonna do with it, and how they're gonna feel about it, and how it's gonna reflect itself like near us. So we've worked a lot with small communities, small companies, from theater companies, local artists, and again, like we never give money to other businesses necessarily. Like, so we always try to give money to a OBNL, ONG. And so it's all the idea of like, if someone comes up, I have this like artistic project, and we're like, okay, we're going to support you. We're going to give you like exposure. We're going to brew a beer for you, but we're not going to give you money. But you got to pick an ONG that is near you, that feels right, and that is like near where Noctem exists. So that's how we've kind of approached a lot of our community work around us.
So hyper local.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, because I guess one of the things that we've talked about on the pod a bunch, not maybe the Link Up series, but just like the way that craft beer is going, like it seems to be kind of coming back to that hyper localness, like your favorite local brewery that you can walk to, that's like always like taking care of and really caring about that immediate community around them, which is probably the optimal approach, I guess, because it's really difficult to make the impact at scale. But what you probably can change realistically, like you said, that 10-kilometer radius. I mean, that's I like that. I like that approach to it. In the time that you've been doing all this work, man, have you seen, like, do you have any examples of like a change or a difference that you've seen with any of the things? I know, once again, this stuff takes time. All of them, as we know, I mean, we know very well, it's brick by brick. It's very slow rolling, unfortunately, but I guess that's, you know, that's what social change is. How long has Noctem been around?
We've been around for 8 years now.
8 years.
Nice.
So in that time, and with any of your work, under any of the banners, doesn't matter what type of stuff, have you been able to really like see it? Is that long enough working with different companies, organizations, and seeing the change?
Yeah. I would say we've done change. I don't think we've done change, but I think we've kept some stances that were clear. Like we put like the borders of like inclusivity very like early in the when we create our pub, and we acted on it like with our the employees that were like waiters and people that work there, that this is how Noctem is going to work, and that's how we're going to deal with people like coming in and that want to be here, and people that come here that are not super fun to other people. So we've kept these clear lines very defined over time. So like we've been known for a place, like you go to Noctem, if you're not like super nice, you're going to get kicked out. So it's this idea of keeping these lines very clear. We're not here like, I don't care if you bring money, if you're not like with our set of values, it's not going to work. So it's this idea of like, we want to make sure the lines we follow are clear. So I feel that over time we've seen changes, but it's not because of us. But what I'm glad is that the lines we've put up now are, I feel like, more lines are more accepted today. Like I feel maybe before we were a bit more like in advance of other like in terms of like acceptability and inclusiveness. And so now we're like, this is more of a norm. So I'm kind of glad. Like it would be bad if we have to change because like we had like a backward mentality. Yeah, I'm kind of glad that actually we were just like before the wave.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. You're ahead of the game on that one. That's it. Sure, that's good.
I wouldn't say I didn't feel we changed anything. That I wouldn't give myself that credit for sure. Like it's not something I feel we did, but I do feel that the lines we've put like early in the business idea of like what Noctem is when you come there, how you're gonna get treated. I'm pretty glad that like we've kept it and it hasn't changed because it was the right way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
And I'm sure there is change in there because even if it's like you're changing someone's thoughts and the way that they think, or even making them think, for example, about inclusiveness, like just even among your staff, I think that is like you're changing perception. It's like you're changing the person,
Yeah,
even if it's not like you launched something. I think it's still I still think that's important. That's very cool, and it's good that you were doing it from the beginning because it shows it's like authentic too, right? It's like not like oh my gosh, it's diversity's marketing bull,
exactly.
you know, like you did it because you
Like
always
it's
felt that
authentic
way.
to you guys. You really actually care.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think that maybe, I know you're being humble and you're not saying that Noctem made changes, but perhaps the organizations that have been around for a while that you've contributed to have made change over this 8 years.
Exactly.
In the in Quebec City, in the particular neighborhood. And I imagine they would have, whether that's just, I don't know, just more safe spaces that people feel like welcome in. Because, breweries have typically been a very, craft breweries in the last, 20, 30 years, this is a very white dudes with beards space. So, imagine being, even before you even talk about culture or ethnicity, just being a woman walking into that space, and you're like, oh, fuck, there's all these dudes in here. Like staring at me, dude. Maybe it was pretty damn uncomfortable, I imagine. So I think that the gender balance has been pretty sweet, like over the last, I don't know, 5-ish years maybe or so. And then now it's more cultural. So if you're a person of color, and you walk in, you're seeing all these white people, you might just be like, oh, this place isn't for me. And you never want anyone to do that, because that's not what a brewery is. And I know that Quebec City is a relatively diverse place ethnically, I'm pretty sure, right? Like it's not, some parts of Quebec are like 90-something%, like,
Oh, for sure. Like we're a city. I mean, like, for sure. Like, and like, I mean, in downtown Quebec, there's a lot more diversity than there was like 20 years ago. That's for sure.
Yeah.
The portrait has changed a lot.
Good. That's
Which
good.
is good. Yeah.
And you got what's the neighborhood, the pub? So when we saw you, it was in the St. Malo, which was sort of out a little bit, not far, but like 10, 15 minutes out, right?
Yeah, that's the industrial
The Usain,
district. Yeah.
Okay.
I always forget the name of the English now. I always like everyone like the production facility.
Facility. Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then
the main brewery is there, and there it used to be like military district where a lot of people there were like the hill houses behind, and the building I think is in an old like munition building back in like I think World War One, like not even World War Two. It's like way older than that.
Damn.
And but the pub is in downtown Saint Roch, so Saint Roch has always been the populous neighborhood. It's the downtown neighborhood. Okay. It has been a bit like the neighborhood that's been looked over a lot because basically in the history of Quebec, rich people lived uptown, poor people lived downtown, like literally, because like the uptown is higher. That's where you get a parliament and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
And so yeah, it's a neighborhood that used to be just like workers, a lot of like small buildings, like all squished together, and in like I think in the early 2000s they had this idea of kind of making the neighborhood Nouveau Saint Roch, so gentrifying the neighborhood. And when we opened the pub, it was at the end of the gentrification of it.
Okay.
I would say the first wave of gentrification, because where it used to be like a sushi bar, and in front there was like a Hugo Boss shop, and like it was like very trendy street and stuff like that. But it when we came around, it was like a new era of like small restaurants, small businesses opening.
Cool.
I would say very Portlandish in terms of having like this like Japanese anime comic book store, and then decided you would have like this tea shop, and like it was very like small business owned by people that we all knew. And but in the past few years, for sure, like we have seen the rise of Airbnb and different tourism. So a lot of people that used to live in the neighborhood are not there anymore. The neighborhood's pretty much not people living there. It's mainly Airbnbs, and the businesses are not doing so great now. Like they were doing good, but it's not the golden era we had like 5 years ago. Wow. So we're seeing a change now because they're making changes in laws and stuff like that. So I feel like this neighborhood, Saint Roch, seen a lot of shares of in terms of urban planning and stuff like that. We've seen it all so far. So there's more coming. There's going to be a tramway. There's going to be like all kinds of new stuff coming around the pub. But yeah, it's a neighborhood that's really, really active. A lot of changes, a lot of stuff happening, and a lot of people hanging around. That's for sure.
Gotcha.
Wow. I do not think we went there, right?
No, we went. So
see, the tourism board didn't put us in fun places. That's the only one thing.
Yeah. What else? I think also though, to be fair to I think because you happen to be at the main production facility, so we went there, not the pub. That's the only reason we didn't go to the pub.
Yeah.
And we also had like 2 nights.
It was really fast. But I just feel like the tourism board always puts you in the really because that sounds more like a neighborhood that we would
where we should
be
stay.
more to be in, that we'd want to stay in. But they always put you in like the commercial or finance or like whatever, like those districts. We stayed in the old port, so it's always like that type of.
What else is in St. Roch? I'm just trying to picture it as you're describing it. There's another brewery near you, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. There's most of the breweries are downtown near Saint Roch. So we got La Barberie that is beside us. We got
so then we did go there.
And the Carrigan, okay,
on the corner.
And, And
so
we have
right near there.
Grindel. Okay. Grindel is just on the border of the next neighborhood, Saint-Sauveur.
Saint-Sauveur, okay, because Martin, we met up with Martin there, and he was telling us about the neighborhood and explaining it. Giving us the lowdown on the map.
That area did look really cool. Yeah,
so that one was cool. And we went to Barberie as well. So that means I'm picturing it right. And we went to Corrigan in like 2014 or something, like a long time ago when we went. Okay.
They had all the cool streets and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like on that hill, coming up the mountain and all, or whatever. It
felt like it felt like being in like somewhere in
Europe or something.
Yeah, I couldn't even describe it. It's so cool, very cool.
Yeah.
So that's really good then. So then you've got like a bit of an opportunity for people to come, there's like cool stuff in the area, cool restaurants, stores, everything like that, which attracts all sorts of backgrounds. And then people would be able to see all these breweries and be able to be like, oh, like these look fun. And maybe they just think of it as a bar even, which is good. And then different people could come in and be like, oh shit, like this is popping. Like, I feel like every time we've been around there, it's always been busy. Like, I guess we've only been in summer. Like the area is always busy. There's like a lineup to get into places and stuff. So, I mean, like that's really positive, I guess, to see that there's like neighborhood that's walkable, because everything felt pretty walkable too, and people can do a little bit of a hop if they want as well. So just more encouraging that different people working up.
Yeah, for sure. That's where people hang out. Like people hang out and say, like, it's easy for you to go around and find small businesses, different businesses. It's not a shopping mall. It's not like something that is like you won't find like the McDonald's, you won't find Tim Hortons, you won't find the fast food, you won't find the big brand stores. It's mainly small businesses. That's like the best part of downtown Quebec for sure. Like there's no way you'll find like this kind of same like huge multinational business that are just like all stacked up on the best corner. That's not how it is. It's just small businesses and small coffee shops and bars. A lot of bars downtown, that's for sure. That's where people go drink.
I love that.
Yeah, when we go to Montreal next time, we should go to
Quebec City.
I
know, I was thinking about it because we were just in Montreal a couple of weeks ago for the first time since we moved. And I'm sick to go back as a visitor now and be like, oh man, it would have been cool. Everything was so quick, so we didn't really get much time. So to sort of bring it home, being that you've done a lot of work in this, obviously over the 8 years, like you've done a lot of different community things. Obviously, you're very tapped in and very intentional with your approach to working with the community and the organizations that you work with. Being that our audience is obviously there's a lot of drinkers, but there's also a lot of people within the industry. And I always like to use these ones, as I was telling you off air, that, to sort of, if there's, hopefully inspire other breweries to maybe take some action if they haven't in the past, because they maybe weren't sure what to do. Do you have any, if another brewery asked you, hey man, like we want to get involved, either it's diversity to try and help diversify our staff and our tap room, or just to tap in with the community, what advice would you give another brewery if they were curious about it but didn't know where to start?
I would say we're still like a new industry, so we need to tap in like all these uncut diamonds that are hanging around. I have a tendency of hiring people that don't come to me with all the knowledge that I can teach them, and I can find people that are motivated. Motivation is the main thing, like I would say, and it's the idea like try to get people they're gonna get you to think a bit out of the box. So I'm not gonna lie, like if I get like someone that is gonna apply and someone is from person of color from the country, or just like someone that is not white cis male, I'm gonna have like a positive bias to hire this person. Right. And the idea is just like, let's try to move things around. I'm not gonna say it's become boring, but like I've met all the white dudes. I've had my load. So, so yeah, we're just gonna try something new, and it's fine. And like I said, like we're gonna get like a new graphic designer, and like we need some freshness in the beer industry. I'm not like, it's not. I'll be positive, but I tried to say like I feel like we need something new. We need to think a bit out of what we've done for the past 10 years. Right. It's not about like high alcohol. It's not about like doing the craziest beer. It's not about like having the beer can that looks like it's gonna like murder you with like things that are like so hyped and stuff like that. It's just it's beer, and we can have fun, and we can do different stuff. And yeah, I feel like we need new blood. We need new people that coming in and changing what we've done, because if we don't evolve, if we don't find new stuff, if we don't diversify, if we don't find like different avenues, we're gonna die like another trend. Like we're just gonna become another Tupperware, and that's like we're just gonna be the same thing. And I feel like we need to evolve. We need to change. Beer is alive. Beer has been like in different parts of the world, so we need to keep it alive like that.
Well said, man.
Yeah, that
well
is
said.
Really good. New blood, I like too.
That's the clip
right
there.
That's great.
That's what we need. That's the message we wanted to tell people, bro. Dude, honestly, what better way to bring it home from there? So we're gonna take a screenshot, dude. Do you want to hold up the can just for the thumbnail? This is always fun. Do you want to grab your can, babe? Make sure I get the link up, facing forward. There we go. Okay, ready?
All right.
There we go. Amazing. Brian, you're champion, dude. Thank you so much for your insight and for taking the time and for participating in Link Up. This was super fun.
Great.
We really appreciate you, man. Stick around afterwards and we'll wrap up. But for now, where can everybody find Noctem online?
Go on noctem.ca, find where there's some Link Up close to you. We got all the people that sell our beer on our site. We got little maps. Nice. If there's a can, there's beer near you.
Cool.
Make sure you get it. I definitely saw a few stores in Montreal posting about it and tagging us, which is great to see.
Super.
And I think is it Noctem Artisans Brasseurs on Instagram or with underscores?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And easiest way, if there's a cat on the can, it's us. It's not, well, too bad. We're going to take credit for it.
There's going to be cease and desist.
I was thinking, like you said, a cease and desist. But you stand out every time, and it's so cool. I think it's also because it's the realism against, like, it's like a realism cat. It's not it's
a photo.
That also really stands out. So cool.
I really think people would be like, I want some of the cat beer.
I know, the cat beer.
Obviously, most people probably would have had catnip by now, but you got a bunch of the old school West Coast. You got a bunch of really fantastic beers that are just super high quality. Quebec City beer is so exceptional. So if you really if you have access to it, whether if you're not in Quebec, then get a friend and trade. And if you are in Quebec, then get some goddamn Quebec City beer. It's exceptional, particularly Noctem. Brian, you're a legend. Thank you so much for taking the time. Everybody, thank you for watching and listening. If you enjoyed the episode, smash the thumbs up, hit subscribe below, hit that notification bell so you know when the new drops. Follow us everywhere at BAOS Podcast and, of course, at Link Up Beer. It is linkupbeer.org. Now, if you identify as BIPOC and you would like to participate in the program that we have, whether it's with Cicerone or whether it's applying for the Niagara College scholarship, and hopefully a lot more to come on that even next year, and we'll be able to expand that even more. You can apply on the website. You speak with Danielle and she'll take it from there. And of course, wherever you are, particularly in Ontario and Quebec, there's hopefully by the time this comes out, hopefully some of the link up. We're doing this pretty soon after the series, so I'm hoping you'll be able to get your hands on something. So definitely go look out for it. Ask for it at your favorite stores. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.
Cheers, y'all.